Hello, welcome to Boston. Today I'm outside the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston, and this is also called the MFA Boston. As we open the doors here, we see the grand staircase with the lions on the side protecting the treasures inside. Today we're going to be looking at the Dutch and Flemish art. This is also called the Netherlandish art. The first painting is by Roger van der Weyden, and this shows Mary and Christ, and St. Luke is on the right, and St. Luke is drawing a picture of Mary and Christ. Now, St. Luke is the author of one of the Gospels, but it's also known as an artist, and he's the patron saint of artists. So here's Mary and Christ. Now this is done around 1440. So next we're going to move forward in history to the 1600s. This is a bouquet, it's a floral still life, and it's a inlay into that picture. And here's a small bouquet. This gallery is dedicated to smaller Dutch images, and we can see a grasshopper and a snail and a housefly on the left there. And that's a good introduction to the next piece, which is about insects. This print is showing our six-legged friends, the insects. Now another one based on small items. This is a painting, and in the center there's a profile of a man. And they actually have the original print that was used in the painting. Here it is. So you can see how that was inserted there. And this is called a trompe-l'oeil. And it's a reproduction of these kind of personal items. Here's an almanac. And here is an envelope with a broken wax seal, a quill pen. And it all goes together to make this collage. Really enjoy looking at this. Now we move on to another genre, which is landscapes, and this introduction, another part of Dutch life was shipping. Now here's another genre of, here's a woman and a man, and we're going to see many paintings showing the partnership between women and men, and this, how that was so important to the Dutch society. Here's a woman, she's enjoying some sugar that is in the silver pot. Now we move on to the Dutch still lives. Now you can just take these for what they present, the fruit arranged here in a nice composition, but it's also kind of showing off. The Dutch and Flemish at this time were enjoying an enormous economic success, and this shows how well their lives were going, and this was due to their success in global trade, and that's where these ships come in. Here's a smaller portrait. I show this because it doesn't work that well, the blacks and the whites, the contrast. There's just picture after picture here. The top here we have a hunt, and we're going to see the hunter here on the left, and his dogs and crew are crossing the creek, going after the stag. Now this is a great celebration, and the Dutch loved their communities and loved getting together to have fun and enjoy life. Great expressions on their face. There was enormous market for art. So they have great detail. They loved the community of the people, but they also loved nature. And so this is about enjoying nature. Here's a couple of Rembrandt portraits, and notice the contrast in this. The white and the blacks all works absolutely amazing. But You have Rembrandt people, to me, they always look so friendly and warm and intelligent, and they're always nice to look at. Now here is a cabinet of a dollhouse, but this actually would have been put together by Dutch adult women. And you should think about this as the importance of the home in the Dutch society. As I said, the man and the woman together forming their families, and the strength of that contributed to the success of the nation. So we're going to go through some of these rooms here. Here is a room. I think this is just to collect their silver and store the silver. And here is the showing kind of the outdoor entryway. And here is the kitchen. So all these silver items were fashioned by them, and they were getting silver from their trade from South Africa. Here's the dining room. Here's the entryway. Also note the porcelain. That was coming from China and Japan. This is a music room. See the keyboard on the right and violin. Upstairs we have a laundry room. Here it looks like a linen storage and a bathroom for a woman. And here's the bedroom. So it all goes to show their also their enjoyment of little miniature things. Here's another portrait by Rembrandt. This is an older couple. Notice how they're wearing the black and white. And to me, that represents a higher class of people. Here's a younger couple looking very confident about their future aspects in Dutch and Flemish society. And next we move on to another genre, and this has to do with their imagination. Pictures, and this showing Bacchus handing a crown with stars to the satyrs. And Ariadne was rejected by Theseus. And then Bacchus fell in love with her, but she died. So he took her crown, and the stars in the crown went up to the sky and formed constellations in the night sky. So, as we know characters from television and movies, the Dutch would have known characters from myths. So when they saw these pictures, they would immediately have an emotional reaction to the characters. Here's Icarus and his wax wings. We know he flew too close to the sun. And then we have some more Greek figures here. We have at the bottom is Hercules, known for his strength. And the top is Mercury. Next, in the middle of the gallery, we have this superb model of a Dutch East India ship. Now, as I said, the global trade enabled all this wealth to come to this part of the world, and there were hundreds of these ships, and they sailed on thousands of voyages from the Netherlands to South Africa and Asia, Japan, China, Indonesia. Now this one's called the Valkeness. The Dutch East India Company was one of the first global corporations. they had public shares, and they had enormous powers. They could mint coins. They could have their own army. They could convict and execute convicts. They had a board of directors, and they had stocks, and people could own the stocks, and they earned high 15 to 18% profits off their stocks. Now, this was the Valkenese. Here's showing the map of where they went. It took about 7 months to take the voyage, and there were usually about 300 people on board. Half of them were soldiers and half of them were sailors. There were only about 6 passengers and maybe a carpenter. This is called the Valkenese from 1717. And because of this business, they had an enormous market for painting. And we're lucky to see that today. This painting shows an African king, though many other Africans were violently mistreated by the Dutch. Music was an important part. And now this is kind of a little, here's showing their interest in exotic animals from around the world. And here is more of a lower class people, musicians. And notice their clothing is more colorful and shows more personality. While a richer person could wears the black and the white. He looks much better groomed. These portraits were very expensive. Of course, they're all custom made. Now we move on to the last hallway here. And here is a smaller Rembrandt. He's facing his easel, ready to paint. And here's some of the communal activity. You know, they just enjoyed leisure and fun, and it's not so much about Christianity. They were mostly Protestants. Here's a drunken man, and they're not really showing themselves at work. And here's one of my favorites, Pieter Sanderdam, and he is showing us the town hall in Haarlem and the activity outside of the town hall. He's very precise and detailed. The Dutch are so confident, they'll paint the mess on the floor. They don't care if you see it. And this man is so entranced in his painting that he doesn't care to clean up his room. But he's creating his painting, and we see his sculpture here, and it's a musical instrument. Now here is a delightful image of children at night lit by a candle. The detail and sensitivity to facial expressions conveys a connection from this child from the 1600s all the way to me today. Here's a relief. Just so it looks so natural the way they did these, and they're very nicely done. This young man is learning his apprenticeship here, his teacher. So at this time, I was kind of overloaded, had seen a lot of pictures, and so I'm just going to kind of breeze through this and finish up. So it was my pleasure to have you join me here in Boston at the MFA Boston. They have a center for Netherlandish art here, so I'm sure they're going to have more exhibits in the future. Thanks for watching.